Okay, at this point, I would like to call our business meeting to order. And Robert's Rules of Order will be the guide. A formal copy of the Robert's Rules of Order will be our guide for our meeting. We want to announce that today we have 32 people attending our meeting. 27 of these are members of our tribe, and 5 are guests. So welcome to all of you. Yes, we're going to take a group picture as soon as we finish with the business meeting. So don't anybody leave before we get you in our picture, please. Okay. All right. At this point, Susan Webb has recorded for us our prayer, our business meeting prayer. And in the stack of papers that you have in front of you, you will find our prayer. So if you want to follow along with what Susan has said, both in English and in Lenape. So if you will find this document in the stack of papers on your tables. So we at this point are going to listen to Susan Webb give us our Lenape prayer. Please follow along.
Thank you, our Creator. Wanishi Kishilamiyang. Please take pity on us. Kasi Katamakelaminen. Please stand us up. Kasi Nipalinen. Thank you for watching over us today. Wanishi Kenakihinen Kishkwik. Amen. Let it be so. Nana Lekech.
Thank you, Susan Webb. Okay, isn't it amazing what technology can do? She recorded this earlier in the week and sent it to Mike Weeks so that he would be able to include the prayer in our meeting. Okay, let's go on with the agenda on our meeting, and everybody should have a copy of the agenda in front of you. Okay, I would like to introduce to you, please, the members of your tribal council. Okay, again, I am Lynn David, the acting chief. Okay, Brenton Ziegler is our assistant chief and also our membership overseer. Okay, on my right, I have Joe Manili, who is one of our members, and to his right, I have Jim Harriman, who's also one of our members. Now, we are missing a couple of our members, okay? Diana Samerson, okay, just so happens that today her daughter graduates from high school. So we gave her leave of absence, okay? We gave her permission not to be here. The other person that we're missing is Mike Satterwhite, okay, who is our treasurer, and Mike Satterwhite is resigning effective today, so we have an opening for a treasurer. I also want to introduce a very key person on our tribal council, and that is Mike Weeks. Mike carries 2 hats. He is member of our tribal council, but he is also the chairperson of our technology committee. And you're going to find out as we talk more today how much this technology committee has done in the last 9 months for your organization. It's just phenomenal what's happened. And we'll talk more about that when we get further down the agenda. Okay, at this point, has everybody had a chance to take a look at our agenda for today? Okay, could I have a motion to accept our agenda for today, please? So moved. Okay, Jim David moves. Do I have a second? Okay, Kevin Rogers seconds. All in favor, please say aye. Okay, are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the agenda is approved. Thank you very much. All right, the next thing that you have in front of you are the minutes for our 2024 annual meeting. Okay. And I assume there's about 3 pages there. Everybody's had a chance to take a look at those. Could I have a motion, please, to adopt the minutes of the 2024 annual meeting of the Kansas Delaware Tribe? Jim? Oh, okay. All right. All right. Do I have a second? All right. Kevin, seconds. Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay. Very good. Thank you. The minutes are accepted. Okay. Brenton, we put together for you.
Try to speak loud. Currently, we have 2,000 members, with 3 new members added since April 13th council meeting. There are 315 known deceased members who have walked on. Since last month, there was 10 new non-expiring membership cards issued. Actually, 11. I issued one today. 4 members' personal information on the roll was updated. I think we've updated some more today. 56 of the Kansas Delaware also belong to the Delaware Tribe of Indians in Oklahoma and the Cherokee Nation. 51 Kansas Delaware belong to the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma. 10 of our Kansas Delaware members are also enrolled in the Cherokee Nation. 10 Kansas Delaware members are also enrolled in the Cherokee Nation who could belong to the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma. They just chosen not to do that yet. Are there any questions?
All right. Thank you, Brendan. Okay. All right. The next thing that you have in front of you, and I tried to put these on each one of the tables in the order in which we would be covering them. The next thing that you have in front of you is the year-end, calendar year-end financial statement for our organization. We are a calendar year, fiscal year end. So this is the most current calendar year, fiscal year report. So in 2024, we had income of $1,416.46. We had expenses of $2,745.81. So we had a net loss of $1,329.35. So we at this point do not have a very large treasury. Okay. But we're trying to make sure that we watch our expenses so that we do not go into the red. We ended up, just so that you understand, we ended up opening our Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians account at a bank in St. Louis called Carrollton Bank. That is a family-owned bank, a 5th generation family-owned bank. So it's not one of these huge mega banks. It's very much a family-owned bank. It's a bank that when you walk in, people know your name. Okay, so I think that's very important. The other thing that we did that you need to know is we opened it as a money market account, which means we get a reasonable rate of interest, much more so than a checking account or a basic savings account. The other thing that your tribal council did this year is it adopted procedures for handling our tribal count, which had never existed before. So we now have dual control on our checking account. So only certain people can make deposits and only certain people can make withdrawals or write checks. So your money is much more safeguarded than it ever has been previously. Okay. All right. The next thing that I would like to cover is the winter count presentation. Now, the winter count is where we try to keep track of our members who are no longer with us. Okay. And we are making a very earnest attempt at doing a better job of keeping track of these people. Hopefully, when you click on the winter count, you'll not only see the picture, but a description of the obituary of this person. So at this point for this year, okay, we want to recognize 2 of our members who have passed away. Both of these happen to be former cousins of Mike Weeks. One is Jewel Janice Hodges Hager, born in 1950 and passed away in November of 2024 at the age of 74. Okay. Her father was Wallace Hodges. Also, we have lost David Edward Hodges, born in 1952, passed away in March of this year, March of 2025, at the age of 73. And his father was also Wallace Hodges. All right, the next thing that I would like to do is open our meeting up for what we are calling a member comment period. Now, we've never done this before, but I think that it's extremely important for our tribal members to be able to make comments about the tribe. Okay. Now, this is not intended to be a question and answer period. It's intended to be a point where you can have the opportunity to make comments. And we will limit the comments to one comment per person if you like to make it, and the comment has to be limited to 2 minutes. Okay. So, is there anyone who would like to make a comment during our public comment period? If you do, please stand, mention your name and where you're from. Don? Speak up, please. Yeah. Thank you, Don. Thank you. That means a lot. Anyone else? All right, we have a second to Don's comment. All right, anything else? All right, very good. Thank you. We will move on. Okay, the next thing that we have on our agenda are the scholarship awards. Okay, here again, let me inform you, if you're not aware of it, that in the last 9 months, your tribal council has redone the guidelines for the scholarships. Okay. And what we've tried to do is make them as fair as possible, as thorough as possible. The way that they're structured right now, we can give up to two $250 scholarships per year to people who are our members. Okay. They must apply, and there is a specific form for them to apply on. They must write a paper, approximately a 500-word paper, explaining about their involvement in the Kansas Delaware tribe. And this year, we had only one person who applied, and that person who applied is Camille Ziegler. Okay. And I have to tell you that all 7 members of your tribal council reviewed the paper that she submitted and reviewed her application. And the paper that she submitted was beautifully written. Okay. So our process is each of the 7 members of the tribal council grade that paper on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 not being very good and 5 being excellent. And Camille got straight 5s all across the board. Okay. So she will be receiving a $250 scholarship from your tribe. Now, the way this works is there can theoretically be 4 of these $250 scholarships that she can receive, one for each year. Okay. But each year, to renew her scholarship for the next year, she must submit 2 semesters worth of grades. And each of those semesters must include a minimum of 12 hours. Okay. And the overall grade for the year must be a minimum of a B. Okay. So with that said, I want to inform you that we have a person who reapplied, who was given a scholarship in 2024, and that is Katie Taylor. Okay. She applied, she was given a scholarship. She submitted to us her grades for the fall semester of 2024 and for the spring semester of 2025. And here's what it showed. For the fall semester of 2024, she had 13 hours of credit of classes that she took. In those 13 hours, she had an average grade point average of 3.77 on a scale of 1 to 4. In her spring semester of 2025, she took 14 hours of credits. She had an average of a 2.78 grade point average. So overall for the year, her grade point average was 3.26. It needed to be at least a 3, which was a B. So she deserves to have a $250 scholarship for the calendar year 2025-26. So for her next year's worth of college credits. That's the way we do it now. Much, much more structured than it's ever been. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. The next thing that we have on our agenda is the awarding of our honored veteran. Okay. Howard E. South Jr. is a descendant of Betsy Ziegler. Howard received his bachelor's degree and master's degree in art education from Pittsburgh Teachers College, which is now Pittsburgh State University at Pittsburgh, Kansas. He retired as head of the Fine Arts Department of Carthage Senior High School in 1999 after 28 years of teaching. While attending college, he participated in the Army Reserves, in the infantry for 2 years. Upon graduation, he joined the United States Navy and served as an illustrator from 1968 to 1972. During 1968 to 1970, he was assigned a duty station FV 124 Naval Station, Miramar, San Diego. Some of us are familiar with this naval base if you happen to see the movie Top Gun, because its nickname is Fightertown, USA. So while Howard was there, he worked to design some of the Top Gun illustrations. During the 1970 to 1972, he was assigned to a naval station, Nartu, at North Island, California. Howard, by the way, happened to share with me when I was talking with him that his birthday is June 6th. So we just missed his birthday by 1 day. It is our pleasure to recognize Howard South as the 2025 Kansas Delaware veteran. So Howard will be given. So we're trying to, where possible, keep our purchases in the family. Okay. Now, a couple of more comments that I want to make. Last fall, I was lucky enough to go to the World War II Museum in New Orleans. Okay. And they have a section about Native Americans. And I'd like to read you a couple of plaques that they have in the World War II Museum. Despite a history of mistreatment by the U.S. government, Native American tribal councils declared support for the war effort. After Pearl Harbor, Native Americans around the country enlisted to defend the United States. More than 70% of the men in some Native American communities joined the military during the war. Many learned basic English to meet enlistment requirements. Fighting in integrated units and demonstrating tremendous skill and bravery, Native Americans earned the respect of their fellow soldiers. There is no ethnic group in this United States that volunteered to the degree that Native Americans did during World War II. None. It was the highest of all. The American fight to defend democracy against fascism abroad was at odds with considerable racial injustice at home. Latino Americans and Native Americans faced open discrimination, and many lived in separated, impoverished communities. But for Latino and Native Americans, the war created opportunities for greater equality, as more than 500,000 Latinos and 44,000 Native Americans served in racially integrated units in the military in World War II. The American public celebrated wartime heroes in both ethnicities. Though prejudice did not disappear for these Americans, the promise of democracy appeared brighter. We even have one of our Native Americans who was a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation who received the Medal of Honor. So it's important. Okay. The next thing that I'd like to bring you up to date on is our honored elder. And she just so happens to luckily be here with us today. We would like to recognize tribal member Ann Heaton. Ann is a descendant of Betsy Ziegler and her son Charles Ziegler and his son Bert Ziegler. There's an awful lot of Zieglers. Okay. All right. Ann has been an active member of our tribe for over 20 years and was a member of the tribal council and was our tribal historian for several years. She was an active member of the 4-H for 7.5 years and leader of the 4-H organization over 4 years with 40 members in that organization. She said, we showed our project at 2 local fairs. All members helped cut and sew a quilt that was raffled off and sent any members to camp that wanted to go for free, a week-long camp. 4-H is known for its agricultural programs for people age 5 to 19. It is a youth development program that empowers young people to reach their full potential through hands-on experience, experiential learning, and community engagement with a focus on 4 things: heads, hearts, hands, and health. She was the first person of her family to graduate college at the age of 40. She grew up in Shella, Washington on a 40-acre farm. She said we grew corn, alfalfa, horses, steers, Holstein heifers, and she showed those heifers, pigs, and chickens. She joined the Women's Army Corps and traveled to Fort McClellan, Alabama, then to U.S. Naval Base, Newport, Rhode Island, for a closed microphone court reporting school. Being in the military was great, she said, and she ended up marrying a hometown boy she had known since the age of 13. They had 20.5 years of marriage, 3 children. During his military service, they were stationed in West Berlin, Germany, and settled in Yakima at on 40 acres and built a 5-bedroom home. The first year, with no running water or electricity, we had dug a well to get water, but couldn't afford to put a pump on it, okay, or to pay the line to get electricity. She got her college degree while working four part-time jobs, and shared with me that she had 4 grandsons at a time in the summertime. They lived all over the United States, and it was the only way that they could spend time together. So they all came to her place. She has also worked as a mental health counselor for over 18 years in assisting individuals with mental health issues, in particular suicide prevention. She is semi-retired, still working at the ticket counter at the local fair, and rings the bell for the Salvation Army at Christmas time, a member of the Honor Guard representing AMVETS, member of the VFW Auxiliary, and member of the Duchesne American Society of Spokane, Washington, and member of the Trinity Lutheran Church in Walla Walla. She also loves polka, waltz, and almost any kind of dancing. She grew up dancing to a record player at Grandma and Grandpa Ziegler's home, okay? After church, a big dinner of fried chicken at their home. All cousins, aunts, and uncles, everyone danced. When her husband was killed in a horse riding accident at a rodeo, she married another soldier and moved to Germany to live for 3.5 years with her youngest son. Her husband went off to the Saudi war and returned safely. Okay. They returned to the States and settled in Walla Walla, Washington. It is our pleasure to recognize Ann Heaton as the 2025 Kansas Delaware Honored Elder. And this is, again, a Teton blanket. Okay, come over here. This is a Teton blanket that the Kansas Delaware tribe would like to award you for our 2025 Honored Elder. No, they carried over their own. Yes, there we go. Okay, and she even knows how to properly wear it. Congratulations, Ann. Quite a lady. Okay, now the next thing on our agenda, I'd like to talk with you a little bit about the Grinter Chapel. Okay, this is a significant project. This is a significant project. In 2022, after attending our annual meeting and listening to our previous chief talk a little bit about the Grinter Chapel, I stopped off at the Grinter Chapel, which is only 15 minutes from here, on the way back to St. Louis. The next day, I sent the tribal council a 5-page email talking about my concerns about the Grinter Chapel, because it's a train wreck, okay? And about our little treasury that we have and how much we can't afford to take on that project. There's just too much, okay? So, but I also mentioned the opportunities, things that potentially could be done with the chapel that would benefit our tribe. So in 2023, at this meeting, our previous chief gave me responsibility for taking the ball and running with it, having to do with the chapel. So in 2024, a gentleman by the name of Scott Brewer, who is the key person within the Central Methodist Church, okay, which controls both Kansas and Nebraska, we had a meeting with them. Some of our tribal members went over and actually spent time looking at the chapel. We got to go in it, to go into the basement of it and look at it. What happened was, the very last day that there was a service in that chapel was April 25th, 2021. And it was published in several of the Kansas City newspapers that the Methodist Church is closing this church. I have researched and looked at the documents when Annie and Moses Grinter in 1870 gave the chapel to the Methodist Episcopal Church. And it says very clearly in there, this church is being given to respect God. It's being given as a place to hold religious activities. Looking at that charter, that transfer of deed, what that basically says is, on April 26th of 2021, they should have given us the chapel back because they closed it as a functioning church. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. In the fall of 2021, a maintenance person for the Central Methodist Church went in and turned the heat off. 3 furnaces went in and turned the heat off. The winter of 2021, 2022, a pipe burst in a second floor bathroom. When somebody finally decided to go into the chapel in the spring of 2022, 4 feet of water in the basement. Because of the fact that a member of the Central Methodist Church turned the heat off, the insurance company denied the claim so that the insurance company would pay nothing. The church paid SurfPro $25,000 out of their own money to go in and clean it up, to take out 4 feet of drywall, to air it out, to try to take as much of the black mold out as they possibly could. That's the last time in 4 years that anything has been done to that chapel. So right now, there's tremendous work that needs to be done to make it, we're using the term safe and usable. Okay. I've had a contractor that specializes on working on historic buildings go in and look at it. And he also brought a partner in that also deals in similar buildings. Their estimate is $1.2 million to make it safe and usable. How much did our financial statement say we have? About $2,000. But I will share with you that Scott Brewer has turned out to be a prince to work with. He is doing everything possible to work with us, to try to help us. Okay? He knows the circumstances that we're in. Yes, we have 1,685 living members, but we have a $2,000 treasury. That won't pay the utilities for a month, okay, even if it's fixed up. So Scott and I spoke, and we've been speaking probably every 2 to 3 months. And he is working with his board, okay, and the chairman of his board. Their office is in Topeka, okay, and he's also working with his bishop. And I've given you some information about a gentleman by the name of Bishop David Wilson. Okay. We are so lucky of this region. Let me read you just a little bit about Reverend David M. Wilson. He has served as the resident bishop of the Great Plains Conference of the United Methodist Church since January 1st, 2023. He was elected to Episcopal office November 2nd, 2022 on a historical vote by the South Central Judicians graduate when Bishop Wilson was one of 3 people elected on the first and only ballot needed to fill the bishop vacancies. Bishop Wilson is a member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma and holds the distinction of being the first Native American elected to serve as a bishop in the United Methodist Church. So I am sure that we probably have somebody on our side, okay? Because he is a full-blooded Native American Indian, and he is the person, the bishop for this region. So anyway, Scott Brewer is being excellent to work with. He understands we have a $2,000 treasury. He understands we can't take a debt of $1.2 million to repair that church. But he has an idea that he is working on where there is a chance, okay, and this all still has to go through his bishop and through his board. There is a chance that the church, the Methodist Church, will pay 100% of the cost to repair Grinter Chapel, because they are going to use it for their purposes. But he was very clear when we spoke by telephone 4 weeks ago that he wants our involvement in the refurbishment of that church, because he wants us to be able to use it as members of the Kansas Delaware tribe of Indians. Now, I mentioned to him, I said, well, Mr. Brewer, one of the reasons that we're interested is if we were to acquire title to the property, title to the chapel, that would make the Kansas Delaware tribe of Indians a land-based tribe, which is very important. Very important. And so I said, is there a way that we could carve out an office in the building and own that portion of the building? He said, no. He said, when we get it all cleaned up, we'll just deed it to you. And we'll do a 99-year lease back. He said, don't worry about it. The attorneys take care of that. So do you hear the opportunity that we potentially have? We would do a lease with them, and I don't know how much it might be, $100 a month or something, because you got to remember, it's going to be what's called a triple net lease, which means they pay the taxes, they pay the insurance, and they give us a small amount each month. But we would have a tiny bit of income, but no expenses. And we would be a land-based tribe. Very, very important. So there's still a huge amount of work that has to be done. Huge amount of work that has to be done to make this happen. But we're starting. We have an appointment on June 17th at the chapel. Scott Brewer, my construction man who specializes in historic buildings, and a very special person, a professor, full professor at Kansas University in the architecture department. So when I spoke with her and she wouldn't get off the phone, we talked for an hour. And what they do is, as you're probably aware, someone who wants to major in architecture, that is a 5-year curriculum, not 4, like many bachelor's degrees. It's a 5-year curriculum. They call their 5th-year students graduate students because they're getting ready to graduate. In addition, they take on about a half a dozen PhD architecture students every year. And she said, Lynn, I'll come over and meet with you all. But what my idea is, in July and August, I'll figure out which one of these ladies or gentlemen will be assigned the Grinter Chapel project. And guess what we pay? I've got it in some of the papers. She asked what the address was for the chapel. I'll get it for you when we take our lunch break. It's on Schwartz Road. Swartz Road. Okay. But so we have an opportunity, good people, to get in there, work on this project, get it designed in such a way that we can use it for our annual meeting. Okay. That we would be able to store some of our archives there in a safe and controlled environment, and not have anything expended except our time. So guess what Lynn David's going to be doing for the next 12 months, at least. Okay. We'll be working on trying to do this. Now, let me speak just for a minute about the cemetery. Okay. We, the Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians, don't really want the cemetery. Okay. I mean, our ancestors are buried there. We want it maintained, but we don't want to maintain it. We don't have to own that acre of ground. Okay. I am working with the Wyandotte County. They already manage 20 abandoned cemeteries. Let's make it 21. Okay. So we just basically tell them, not our responsibility anymore. Did you want it? And we will work with them to take responsibility. Right now, today, every time that 1 acre is mowed and trimmed, $250. Our kitty would be gone in 8 mowings. Okay. But we're hopeful that Wyandotte County will take that. They'll maintain it beautifully. Okay. And our ancestors will be duly recognized. So that tells you what's going on. There's a huge amount of work to be done. But I'll even tell you one more thing. The lady that's the professor, she said, well, is the property a historic landmark? And I said, no. She said, it will be. We'll take care of that. So, I mean, it's just like, somebody's watching over us, right? Somebody's watching over us. Okay, let me go to the next thing. Award and trust. There's approximately, and we estimate about $110,000 worth of money that the federal government owes the Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians. Okay. Several years ago, the Idaho Delawares sued the government and they got their money. Okay. The Delaware Indians, they're still fighting to get their money. Okay. That $110,000 would significantly improve our treasury. Okay. So here again, somebody's watching over us. Diana, our secretary, has an acquaintance. They went to high school together. They went to Harvard at the same time. And so earlier this week, I sent her an email and told her who I was and that I'd like to talk to her. She happens to have done an internship at the American Institute for Indians in Washington, D.C. She's worked there. She knows these people. Okay. So we have been trying, and the Delawares have been trying to work with a gentleman in Arizona by the name of Tom Peckham. We're getting nowhere. So I sent her a nice email earlier this week saying, would you please call me? I want to see if there's any way that you can help us get our award and trust funds. And of course, one of the first things that I'm going to tell her when she calls me is, we can't pay you. Now, it could be that there would be an agreement like she gets 10%, 15% of any of the money she gets for it. I'm willing to do that because right now we have nothing. Okay. But here we're going to have to wait until fall. She's on maternity leave. But she also is a full-blooded Indian. Okay. So the puzzle pieces, good people, are starting to come together. It just takes time. Okay, next thing, our tax exempt status. Your tribal council worked and applied in January for what's called a 501c3, but we had to do work before we could do that. we had to take our mission and purpose statement and rewrite those 3 sentences so that we focus on one thing: education. Education, education, education. In other words, our website is all about education. We've put so many new things on our website that researchers and tribal members and the public can go in and learn about the Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians. So we had to do that. We had to recast that. So we had to have that as part of our filing when we filed the 501c3, because there are a lot of 501cs, but in many cases, if you don't get the 3, it's not tax deductible. So what I'm telling you right now, whether you want to give your tribe $10, $100, or $1,000, it's totally legitimately tax deductible on your personal tax return. It wasn't until now, but it is now. Okay, let's talk about contributions. In the last 9 months, we have gotten several contributions. And Don, I think it's partially and hopefully because of what you said. We have become totally transparent. Everything that your tribal council is doing, we are telling tribal members about, okay? So that you know what's going on. And so I think some people have said, wow, this is really kind of neat that we know what our tribal council is doing. And they've started writing us checks, making contributions through Venmo, however they want to do it. Okay. I want to inform all of you who are here today in person and all of you who are participating by Zoom that I'm going to make a personal commitment. I'm going to make a very strong personal commitment because we can't do much with a $2,000 treasury. For every dollar that is donated during the year 2025 to the Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians, I will do matching up to $5,000 for this year. So I'm serious about this. So if you give 100, I'll add 100 to it. And hopefully this year we will increase our treasury by $10,000 because we need some working capital, some working expense. So I'm making that commitment to the tribe. Okay, let me bring you up to date on what your tribal council has done. And you don't have this in front of you. I want to bring you up to date on what your tribal council has done over the last 9 months. Oh, as far as how to submit the donations, you have right in front of you a Venmo. There's on each table, there's a Venmo. Over where Agnes is, there's a Venmo. You can make a contribution the same way here today. You can make a contribution the same way that you do if you buy a t-shirt. So in other words, this is the QR code, okay? This is the QR code, and this will give you the ability to make a contribution. We will put this QR code in the newsletter, which will be coming out in 2 weeks, describing what happened here today. In addition, you can mail us a check, okay? You can mail us a check to the addresses in our newsletter today, okay? All right, now let me get back to the state of the tribe. In the last 9 months, here's what we've done. When we had a transition in September of last year, we basically went from 7 members of the tribal council to 3. Those 3 members being myself, Brenton Ziegler, and Jim Harriman. So the 3 of us rebuilt the tribal council. Okay. So we added Mike Weeks. And by the way, does everybody know who Mike Weeks is? He's the son of Wanda Weeks. And if it wasn't for his mother, none of us would be here today. Okay. His mother and his oldest brother. Okay. And so we added Mike. We also added Jim Maneely. Okay. Joe Maneely. We added Joe Maneely to our group. Okay. So, and then we also added Mike Satterwhite. And as I said, Mike Satterwhite is unfortunately not going to continue to remain as treasurer. And then we also added Diana Samarison. Okay. And she became very quickly our secretary. So you have a core of 6 people today, and we hope to have a new treasurer soon. But you've got a core of 6 people that have been putting in blood, sweat, and tears for 9 months. Okay, what are some of the other things they've done? We have updated our tribe's articles of organization. We have to have this. This is a legal document that we have to have. We've updated, as I said, our tribe's mission statement to focus on education. We prepared annual financials for 22, 23, and 24. We received approval for the 501c3. We filed the first income tax return that your tribe has ever filed. It's called a Form 990, and it was filed for 2024. We implemented timely updating of our members' status information, which Brenton now has charge of. We enhanced our scholarship program. We created an educational scholarship donation program, which was in our January newsletter, and we'll put it in this one again, that if you want to make your donation and specifically put it towards scholarship funds, you can do that. We received a $200 scholarship from one of our members by the name of Ross Tooney. We received a $600 donation to our general fund. Dean, raise your hand. Where are you? Dean? Okay. Dean donated $600, which is going to pay for our entire meal today. Okay. We received a $450 award for the people that I asked to come in and do the official building inspection. And when they did, they found out there's asbestos in the building. And I talked with them and told them about our financial situation and that we are going to, in the Grinter Chapel, create a wall of honor for everybody who has given funds to help us with the Grinter Chapel. Okay. They waived their $450 fee that they were going to charge. We have created a very skilled and dynamic technology committee. We've enhanced our new website. We enhanced our current website, and on Thursday of this week, we launched our new website. Chairman of the technology committee. And look at the back of the room. Christine Strasburg is unbelievable. And the person who's not here, who's not a member of our tribe, but happens to be Diana's partner, is Tanish Gard. So while Mike is working on the old website and keeping it up to date, and while Christine is providing unbelievable guidance on things that we didn't even think about because she's built websites, Tanish is the one who is designing the new website. Okay, something that none of us had the skills to do. Okay, so anyway, we have just done beautiful things, and we have added the council agenda. We've added our minutes. We've built a reference library of books and articles that people can go out and do research. We've created a website for our past honored elders and our past honored veterans. We have added the winter count to our website, and we've enhanced the names and obituaries. We have prepared for you all 7 newsletters in the last 9 months, okay, focusing on our 3 clans, the history of our tribe, our information concerning the National Museum of the American Indian. And by the way, if you haven't been there, please go there. They have unbelievable things that will bring emotion. Okay. We wrote a letter to the National Museum of the American Indians because they have probably 100 different tribal flags hanging from the ceiling. And so we wrote a letter and said, can we have our tribal flag? Can we send it to you and have it hung there? They said, unfortunately, you have to be federally recognized. So I said, okay, give us a little time. Okay, next, we are in the process of acquiring original tribal documents signed by Ulysses S. Grant and Andrew Jackson from one of our members, or actually two of our members, father-daughter, Lynn and Sarah Heller. But we've got to, I may have to drive to Kentucky to get them because some of these scrolls are so fragile that they have to be opened under special conditions or we'll lose them. Okay, we have a lady who is here. Amani, where are you? Amani Lowe, where are you? There she is. Okay. All right, let me tell you the story here. About months ago, I got an email from this wonderful lady. Okay. And she told me who she was, that she was a tribal member, that she is between her junior and senior year in college. She is majoring in social media and wondered if she could help us this summer while she's on summer break. And I said yes, but I had to give her the same bad news, right? We can't pay you. We can't give you any money. She said, that's okay. So she has been working with us for over a month now. She's working with Mike on the Facebook information. She is working with Christine on our newsletter. She's already reformatted and created a new format for our newsletter. So again, we've been really lucky with the people who have stepped forward and wanted to help us. Okay, so she is terrific. Okay, several of us attended the 2025 Delaware powwow. That included Brenton and myself. Dean was there. Okay, Mike Satterwhite stopped by for a little while. So we did have several of us. Carolyn and Steve Rowe were also there. Unfortunately, they're not here today. Okay, and the last issue that we've done this year is this. We got this up and running last night at 9 o'clock to where members now have the ability, if they can't attend and they're anywhere in the United States, they have the ability to watch our annual meeting through Zoom. And that will be something that will be there from now on. Okay, with that said, let me talk with you a little bit about where we're going and what plans we have for the 25-26 year of our tribe. First off, we need, and this you do have in front of you. This you do have in front of you. Okay. First, we need to get a new treasurer. And if anybody here or anybody that's watching by Zoom would like to apply, please contact me. Please send me an email. The time involved with the treasurer's responsibility, and I'm not exaggerating, is approximately 1 hour a month. 1 hour a month. Now, you do have to look at a lot of emails that you get from me and respond to them. And Mike's giggling. You know, you have to realize I probably send out to the tribal council 10 to 15 emails a week telling them what we're doing and asking for their input and asking for their affirmation to make sure that we're doing it the right way. So yes, that's part of it. Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to adopt a tribal constitution. The tribal council has already reviewed it. The tribal council has already approved it, but you have to look at it. Our members have to look at it. So sometime this summer, it's going to be attached to a newsletter that we send you because we want your input. We do not do things like this that are significant without the membership seeing it and being a part of the decision making. The same thing on our tribal trust board. We don't have one. If we get this $110,000 or 85% of it, if the attorney keeps 15%, we have to have a separate account. We have to have a separate set of people that oversee this out and apart from the tribal council. Now, there may be tribal council members on the trust board, but this is a separate legal entity. And so we've also done a draft of it. Your tribal council has also approved the draft, but the membership has to approve it. You have to look at it, approve it, critique us, tell us where we need to make changes. We will continue to enhance the tribal website. We will continue to expand our social media presence. with the assistance of Amini. Okay, continue to enhance our communication with our tribal members. The plan of the tribal council is to continue to do monthly newsletters. We've got a lot going on, and you need to be a part of it, and you need to make decisions with us. We want to continue to encourage your involvement. It's essential, okay? And I think Amani is one of the people that would tell you, how enthused are you about your tribe as opposed to what you were before 30 days ago? A lot more. The more you get involved, the more you will love what you're doing, and you will appreciate your organization that you belong to. Okay. We will attempt to resolve the ward and trust issue. We'll encourage participations for possible legal fees. We will begin to apply for grants and other fundraising opportunities. The fact that we are now a 501c3 opens doors that were not previously open for grants. So we need to find somebody in the tribe that knows how to write grants, because I assure you, none of your members of your tribal council know how to do this. So we need to have some help with this. We will continue to work on the Grinter Chapel project. One of the things that I'm going to bring up, okay, and I know with some of you, this may be a delicate issue, but we will make the decision based upon what the tribe wants to do. When you look at our tribal seal, there is something missing that is on the Delaware tribal seal. Do any of you know what it is? The Christian cross. There is no Christian cross on the Kansas-Delaware tribal seal. Some of us think that that has to be given significant consideration to modify slightly our tribal seal to include the Christian cross. But it's going to require the vote of the tribe to make that change. Amani is going to work with us at looking at some potential minor redesigns. But again, the tribal council will not make this decision. This decision will be made by the members of the tribe. And then the next one is, the very last one on my sheet is, evaluate the possibility of applying for federal recognition. Okay? It's a process. I mean, but it's a very disciplined process that's operated by an organization in Washington, D.C. I mean, there's 7 main criteria that you have to meet. I feel at this point right now that we fully meet at least 5 of those and partially meet the other 2. So there's work to be done, but that would be a possibility that we would look at, and your tribal council would evaluate, and we would keep you posted as to what's being done. Okay, at this point, I would like to announce the results from our election. Okay, as you are aware, all 6 of the members of the tribal council were running for re-election. Okay, and they were all running unopposed. Okay, and I'm not going to read the numbers off. They'll be in the newsletter. But basically, everybody received 70 positive votes, affirmation, and no one received more than 20 negative votes. So everybody is reelected. Okay. So thank you all very much for your vote of confidence. Now, the next thing is important. Okay. The tribal council had to go back to 2018 to find what I'm going to call a clean set of bylaws. Now, what I mean by that, okay, is after 2018, the tribe never voted on one change in our bylaws. Excuse me, there is no more sacred document to the Kansas-Delaware Tribe of Indians than our bylaws. So we had to go back to 2018, delete all the changes that were made between 2018 in 2024 and start with a clean slate. And that's what we did. So what you saw when you looked at the draft of the new bylaws were lines that were deleted, words that were deleted, new words that were added. You saw exactly what was done as far as potential changes to those 2018 bylaws. The response was 68 people voted in favor of the changes to the bylaws, 15 voted to reject the changes. Under our bylaws, 2/3 must approve changes to any of our bylaws, whether it's one word, a sentence, whatever it is. 2/3 of our members must approve. 82% approved the changes to our bylaws. So thank you very much. Very important things. Okay, the last thing that I have on my list for the business meeting today is to announce the time for our next annual meeting, which is June 6th, 2026. Now, I was tempted to put down 2027. Hopefully, 2027 will be the first Saturday in June in the Grinter Chapel. That's what my personal mission statement is, to see if we can make that happen. Okay, but for right now, we just have to go with June 6th, 2026, and back at this location. Okay, may I have a motion to, Mike? Okay, Mike wants to say something.
Okay. Like Lynn said, we've redesigned the webpage. We've redesigned the webpage completely. It's all online. We're ready to go. We've updated the winter count. If you have anybody who's passed away in, say, the past 20 years and they're not on there, send us an email to the tribal we've got a new tribal webpage or email address. Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians @gmail.com. We also have an Instagram page, Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians at Instagram. So join those, follow those if you're on the Instagram. Or we have a new Facebook page also, Kansas Delaware Tribe of Indians. Contact us, email us, get on Instagram, contact us, get on Facebook, contact us, send us any information you have about anybody who's passed away in the past 20 years. Give us pictures, information, anything you want published, any information you have, you want the rest of the tribe to know, tell us, let us contact us, talk to us.
Before we adjourn, I'd like to do one more thing. I'd like to have a round of applause for your tribal council. These people are literally working their buns off, okay? And I was once told, well, I was probably told a half a dozen times, that I missed my calling, that I should have been a drill sergeant, okay? But I can tell you what, with troops like this, you don't have to get rowdy. You don't have to get the stick out or anything. All you have to do is send them an email and ask them to do something, and it happens. It's a great group of people. All right, at this point, may I get a motion to adjourn? And we're looking at 11:24. Let's please adjourn. Do I have a motion? Okay, and a second. Okay, Don seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we are adjourned.